Welcome to Unit 1 Percentages. Throughout this video, please follow along and complete your theory sheet as requested. Pause the video when asked and complete any activities that you are asked to do. I would like to begin by asking you to think about this. What would the world be like without fractions, decimals, or percentages? Pause the video now and make a short list of all the places you would find a fraction, a decimal, or a percentage. Pause the video and copy the following learning goal at the top of your first theory sheet. This is a list of words that you will come into contact with during this unit. Please know them, copy them into your workbook. This is an interesting concept to think about. How many cents in a dollar, how many years in a century, how old is a centenarian, and how many centimeters in a meter. Did you notice something common about all of those words? They all contain the word cent. How many cents in a dollar? 100. How many years in a century? 100. How old is a centenarian? 100. How many centimeters in a meter? 100. Suffice to say the word percent would have something to do with 100. Per meaning for each and cent meaning 100. Therefore, percent meaning for each 100. What does this tell us? Well, 15% is the same as saying there are 15 per 100. For every 100 answers, I got 15 correct. Let's begin our theory. You can choose how you'd like to do this. You can pause after each instruction and fill in the box, or you can wait till the end of each example and fill it in. My suggestion would be to watch the entire video and then fill it in. Go back, re-watch it and fill it in. Take advantage of the opportunity to test your skills at the end of each example by trying the questions. These are similar to the questions that you'll be asked to complete in class. If you don't get the answer right, please go back to the beginning of the example, watch it again, and retry the question. If you don't get it right the second time, please come and see me as soon as you can. If you read the first section, it says to find a certain percentage of a quantity, change the percentage into a fraction or a decimal and multiply by that quantity. If we have a look at that, you'll see that there is some important information that you'll need to remember. So in order to find a certain percentage of a quantity, you need to change it into a fraction or a decimal. This makes it easier, and then you'll need to multiply by that quantity. So if we have a look at our very first example, the question is asking you to find 35% of $540. First thing I'm going to ask you to do is you're going to write the question as a number sentence. If you're not sure about that, when you see the word of, it means multiply. So we're going to write 35% times $540. That's quite simple and fairly straightforward. Now what the instructions are asking you to do is to rewrite the number sentence, changing the percentage to a fraction. Remember from the first part, percent means per 100. So if we have 35 per 100 multiplied by $540, that's changed that to a fraction. Once again, they're asking you to rewrite the number sentence, changing the percentage to a decimal by dividing the percentage by 100. Remember, when you've got 35 over 100, that's the same as saying 35 divided by 100. So if you use your calculator, you'll see that on your calculator, if you go 35 divided by 100 equals, sometimes you'll get a fraction as an answer. You'll have a key down here, the S to D key, and if you press that, you'll see that it comes up with a decimal of 0.35. So we're going to write 0.35 multiplied by 540. Now it's asking you to use your calculator to calculate an answer. So let's go 0.35 multiplied by our dollar amount, which is 540, and press equals. The answers come up as $189. If you had decimal places after that, you'd always keep it at the 2 because we're dealing with money. Your video now and copy the example and then try these questions. Please make sure you have a genuine go at them before checking the answers. So how did you go? Easy? Okay, so make sure you check your answers. If you didn't get it correct, please go back, re-look at the example, follow the instructions, try again. If this is your second try, you need to see me. There are some occasions when you'll be asked to use a percentage to increase or decrease an amount. So the easiest way to remember this is when you are asked to increase an amount, it will be an add. When you're asked to decrease the amount, you will use a takeaway. We have the 1 at the beginning because it's one whole, okay? So it means the total amount. If you have a look at example number 2, example number 2 is asking you to increase $80 by 12%. So even though this is a buy, when we talk about $80 multiplied by 12%, because we're being asked to increase, we're going to go back and we're going to think about the formulas that we were given on our page 1 of our theory sheets. So when we're talking about increasing, what we're going to do is we're going to go $80 and it's still multiplying. But remember, it's increased, so we're going to do 1 plus 12 over 100, just like our formula. But instead of using the R, I'm using the 12% as per the formula, or as per the question. So I'm going to rewrite it again, and I'm going to rewrite it as a decimal. 80 times 1 plus, now just in case you can't remember, we can go 12 divided by 100 is equal to, and again the S to D key, 0.12. Because this is in brackets, we have to solve that first. So it's going to be 80 times 1 plus 0.12 is 1.12. And then I'm going to use my calculator. Once you start using your calculator, remember you're going to type in 80 times 1.12 equals. You'll come up with the amount $89.6 or 89.6. Because it is dollars, we're going to convert it straight up to $89.60. Never forgetting your dollar sign or your 2 decimal places. Remember, pause the video, try the examples, follow the instructions and see how you go. Example number 3 is asking us to decrease $220 by 25%. So I'm going to do my number sentence, $220 multiplied by 25%. Then I'm going to rewrite it and I'm going to change the percentage to a fraction. So it's going to be 220 multiplied by, it's a decrease. So remember, when we're talking about a decrease, we're going to go 1 take away the percentage or the rate over 100. So I'm going to go 1 take away the rate, which is 25% over 100, and I'm going to put it in brackets. When I'm going to change it to a decimal, $220 multiplied by 1 take away 0.25. If you're not sure, remember, use your calculator. So it'll be 25 divided by 100 equals, press your S to D, and you'll see it's 0.25. Now I'm going to go 220 multiplied. I'm going to do my brackets first. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go 1 take away 0.25. So that's going to end up at 0.75. Remember, that can be done on your calculator as well. 1 take away 0.25 is equal to, again, we've ended up with the fraction. Your S to D button will give you 0.75. Quite simply now, all I'm going to do on my calculator is I'm going to type in my dollar amount, $220, and I'm going to multiply by 0.75. 220 times 0.75 is equal to, you'll see that I've ended up with 100. You just write that into the bottom box and that finishes that question. If you pause your video once again and try these questions. Welcome back. How did you go? Too easy? Well, let's make it a little bit harder, shall we? The last example on your theory page is an example of a problem that involves percentages. The first thing that you do is you will read the problem very carefully. Alison works as a personal assistant and receives $815 per week gross. She receives an 8% pay rise. If Alison pays 18% tax on her gross wage, how much does she net each week? If you listen and look at that problem carefully, you'll see very clearly that there's two parts to the problem. Part 1 is talking about how much she receives as a gross wage and the fact that she's having a pay rise. Part 2 says that she's paying 18% tax. So what you need to do is you need to do it in two parts. First of all, if we look at Part 1, it says that Alison receives $815 per week gross. She receives an 8% pay rise. Part 2 talks about paying 18% and asking how much does she net. So they're talking about how much does she get after the deductions have been taken out. So the very first thing that you're going to do is you're going to write it as a number sentence. Remembering the formulas that we used previously was $815, and remember it's going to be an increase. That tells us that her wages is going to increase. Therefore, what we're going to use is the 1 plus the rate or the percentage, which is 8 over 100. And that's going to be our formula, or that's going to be our number sentence. The second thing that you're going to do is you'll rewrite the number sentence increasing by a percentage, changing the percentage to a decimal. So we'll go 815 multiplied by 1 plus, now remember, use your calculator if you need to, 8 divided by 100 equals, and you'll see that it comes up with the decimal 0.08. 0.08. Let's do the brackets first. 815 multiplied by 1.08. Really important that you keep the decimal places the way they are. Number 5 tells you to use your calculator and calculate an answer. Write your answer to 2 decimal places because we are calculating money, and include the dollar sign. Very, very important. So, get your calculator. 815 multiplied by 1.08 is equal to, you'll see that it gives you 1 decimal place. As I said before, because it's money, we need to calculate 2 decimal places. So our final amount is $880.20. So that's the answer to part 1 only. Part 2 asks you to write the important information as a number sentence using the total from part 1. Remember, this is how much she's now earning because she's just received a pay rise. So we're going to do paying 18% tax. So if she's paying 18% tax, then that's going to be a decrease. So we have $880.20 multiplied by 1 take away 18, because that's how much tax she's paying, over 100. What we now have is we're going to convert that to a decimal. 880.20 multiplied by 1 take away. Remember, use your calculator if you need to. 18 divided by 100 equals 0.18. 0.18. Let's do our brackets. 880.20 multiplied by, now we're going to go 1 take away 0.18 is equal to 0.82. 0.82. Let's do that on our calculator. 880.20 times 0.82 equals. We've got 3 decimal places. You'll see that our third decimal place is a 4. It's less than 5, so that decimal place is going to stay the same. So it's equal to 721.764. Now remember, if that is less than 5, then this decimal place stays the same. If it's 5 or over, that'll go up 1. It's equal to $721.76. Now, this is really important. When you are given a word problem, it's always really important to answer in words. These 3 dots are an easy way to write therefore. Therefore, Alison will net $721.76 per week. Let's try your very own problem. Mr. Alan Gerbera, Al for short, has just sold his house for $375,000. He must pay a commission to the real estate agent of 3.75%. How much did Al get for his house? First of all, I'd like you to copy this into your workbook, and you need to highlight the important information. Is this the information that you highlighted? So if you have a look, must pay tells us that this is going to be a decrease. So the price of his house is going to decrease by 3.75%. With that little hint in mind, why don't you try working it out again? Is this the answer that you got? Well, congratulations. I'm now going to ask you to stop the video, and if need be, please go back over the examples. Know this before you come to class. Make sure you bring your theory book and your workbook, and let's get ready to learn about percentages.